How's it going, YouTube? Coming in today with another video, and today, guys, what the bring to you is going to be the meta end board video that you've all been asking for. I love doing this video. It always gets a lot of requests to make, and that's one thing that I will always want to do these videos for you, so you get the most out of your content that you're trying to consume, especially because finding directly specific content in Yu-Gi-Oh is really hard to find. So I try to get the most educational video I can out. That's why I don't really like making like too many videos if there's nothing going on, because I don't like the filler content or like the random videos. It's just not really my thing. But if there's something that I can make to help you improve your gameplay, I would love to do that. So off that note, let's hop into our meta end boards. Before that, if you haven't already checked out my sponsors over in RW, Cloud, Gem, Arla, Imperium, Dragonshield, or Grimoire, definitely go ahead and do so all down below in the description. But also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because we are on our way to 30,000. We are currently 23 subscribers away from 24,000, I believe, which is fantastic. Let's keep the ball rolling. I can't believe that we are just getting this goal so fast. I would love to hit 30,000 by the end of the year. But let's hop into that meta end board. So the first one is going to be the third best deck in the format right now, which is Blue Eyes, and this is going to be your standard end board. You do have the targeting protection in the grave out of the fusion. Usually the end board is accompanied by 1 to 2 hand traps. I would imagine it's gonna be something along the lines of like Purge, and then definitely a Veiler, because you can search it a lot of times. It's a one of in the deck list. Hieratic Seal, the Spirit. Some boards have like double Spirit, but that's not like super common. A lot of times you'll see like the Blue Eyes on board too, because it works really well with the Drill Beam. So you'll have the Drill Beam, the Field Spell, the Lordly Load, and of course just the most broken spell card possible. Like, Drill Beam is so good. So this is going to be your Blue Eyes end board. Again, things like Droll really do hurt this deck. So this is something that you can kind of picture in your mind whenever your opponent starts playing, to kind of get an end board idea so you know exactly where you want to throw your interruption. Or just go ahead and watch my where to hand trap videos, my last video, so you get a better idea as to where to hand trap different decks. Now, as far as I've seen Tempen Ruler, I don't really think that it's really common for them to end on a ton of hand traps. A lot of the decks do main deck like 9 mulch armies, but it's realistically going to be something like Hieratic Seal, the Chasma, and the other rank 7 Exceed, which is really crazy because the Chasma is going to allow you to go ahead and dump a Redox, which is a generic monster reborn, which brings back Krisha. So that's something that you really want to make sure that you are preparing for, because this deck will be a 0 to 1 in the room. It's getting a little bit more popular, and the deck is super accessible. So that's something that if you are going to be playing against something like this, you need an out to things like Krisha, especially if you have like an Imperm. You're not dropping that early, right? You're going to be dropping that way later to make sure that you can at least deal with something like Krisha. That's something that you really got to think about too, right? Because you're like, okay, if it's post side, they're going first. I'm just assuming the Krisha is in the main deck right now, and we need to stop it. So that's going to alter where you would throw your hand traps. The standard end board for Momento without the Fiendsmith cards, this is just pure, which is, in my opinion, the most popular variant right now. You're going to see SP Little Knight, the Combined Creation, the Fusion Spell, Bone Party, the Field Spell, and an Anguish Engrave. So what's going to happen if you interact is the Combined Creation is going to bring back the Anguish, which is going to search the Mace, which Mace is going to be the Snatch Steal. A lot of times there's going to be a lot of ways back to things like Sleepy as well to be able to fuse on your turn further. So there's definitely going to be multiple interruptions, usually not too many in hand, maybe like 1 or 2 still left in hand. But this deck isn't really known for hand traps. This deck is more known for things like Super Poly and Board Breakers. But this will be your standard Memento end board. Raizio Mitsarugi definitely has a lot of draws that you get off of the Cross and the Dugaris. And then also if you're playing Daigusto Emerald, then you'll get that draw as well. So you definitely have a pretty solid end board most of the time. Definitely like 2 hand traps still in the hand by your end board. You'll have Prayers, you'll have the Purification, you'll have the Mirakumo, you'll have the Duo Drive with the single attach, and then you'll have the Detonator with the Eclipse Twin underneath it. And then Cross, of course, is just a really broken card. This is going to be the most standard end board that you will see. Maybe also a Dugaris that has no material under it, because usually that's going to be used right away, unless they used it to combo for whatever reason, right? So that is something to also consider. Now with Crystron, usually you're only going to see your opponent with like 1 hand trap, maybe 2. But in my opinion, it's been more accurate to just see like 1 hand trap. Usually this deck is going to be on things like Droplet and Super Poly, so much like Memento, you're just going to be having Board Breakers more so. But Infinity, you're going to have Citri or Tristaros. It's one or the other. I would like to say it's more so just going to be Tristaros, but some people end on like Citri. You'll have the Dawn Dragster and then Cluster. So this is going to be what you can expect out of a normal end board. Tristaros being on the end board is going to be a little brutal because the second that you interact, they can go ahead and synchro, which is pretty good. That's why sometimes if you're just holding like an Imperm or a Breaker, you might even want to hold like an Ash just to make sure that you can answer the Tristaros, but you also have to answer the Dawn Dragster and the Infinity. That's where cards like Dark Ruler are becoming a lot more popular right now, and you can definitely see why in a lot of these scenarios. Cluster can still be annoying, but at least we can have cards that can just answer the entire board all at once without having to worry about too much more. Pure Mitsu isn't going to be too different from the Raizio Mitsu. It's just going to have different end board pieces, of course. You can usually expect that there's going to be like an Impulse somewhere, Evil Swarm Nightmare, you have Mirakumo, Futso, which is really important for them to have, so that's something where you want to start your turn off with an Imperm if you can, or some way to shut that card off. Your opponent will have Prayers and Purification. That's just going to be the most standard for Mitsu. Next up here is going to be Malice, so this is going to be one of the biggest end boards, and that's why they say Malice is the best going first deck, because having Allied Code, Firewall, White Binder, the Red Ransom, you'll have Cryptor and Grave usually. It won't be out right away. They'll just have it there to banish later because you also have March Hare, so it makes your board a little bit more layered in interruption. You'll have March Hare in hand, usually 2 hand traps, and again, usually one of them is going to be like Impulse. You do get a fair amount of draws here because of things like Chessie and White Binder, which is absolutely broken because you can usually dig pretty deep for cards that you need. You can also play things like Heat Soul if you want to. Your opponent's going to have Field Spells, so you have to attack the Malice Link monsters, but then Ransom's also flipping stats. Then you have MTP and Malice in the Mirror. So this is going to be the largest end board to deal with by far. And you're just going to have a really good way to deal with it, or, you know, just have Lancia, right? So definitely complicated, but it's something that we are dealing with right now in the format. I hope that you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, definitely go ahead and check out my Twitch, Twitter, Discord, Instagram, and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Thank you all so much.